Hello and welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to join us for this introduction to the Sentara Employee Assistance Program. My name is Miranda Morales and I'm on the BWell team here in Virginia Beach. We are excited about the robust program offerings through Sentara EAP and want to make sure that you are aware of all the support available to you for free through your employment with the city and schools. In just a moment, Suzanne Fullwood from Sentara EAP will share about what an employee assistance program is and then walk us through all they have to offer, how to access these services, and where to go to find additional information. With that, I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to our presenter today. Suzanne, take it away.
Thank you, Miranda. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Suzanne Fullwood, and I am your client executive for the Sentara EAP program. Now, throughout life, we're all going to go through something, and sometimes it feels like it's like the whack-a-mole effect. One thing down, one thing up, constantly going like this. And you often say to yourself, where can I get the help that I need? How can I get the help and when? So just a quick story about me. I grew up in Hampton, Virginia. I had moved to Richmond and lived there for almost 30 years. My mother was an English professor at Thomas Nelson. My mother was very bougie. She was very posh, and she would articulate all the endings on her words at all times. So you can imagine what it was like for me growing up. I'd be talking to my little boyfriend in the other room, and my mother would critique everything that I said. But unfortunately, in 2013, my mother suffered a massive stroke, which left her bedridden, stroke, dementia, feeding tube, the whole 9 yards. My father's health was good at the time, and my father said to me one day, he said, Puddin', because that's what he called me. He said, Puddin'. They're building a house on the next street over. Now, when you move away from home, you never think that you're coming back to the same city, better yet, the same neighborhood that you grew up in. But anyway, fast forward, I wind up purchasing the house. 9 days after I closed you on, my father had a seizure in front of me. Took him to the hospital and found out that he had a tumor a third the size of his head. He chose to have the surgery, and guess what? He too had a stroke. So I had both parents, stroke, dementia, feeding tube, in the dining room downstairs. I had it set up like a nursing home. My mother transitioned September 5th of 2016. My father went right behind her 47 days later. Oh, did I mention that I was an only child and I was also going through an ugly divorce? The reason that I always share my testimony is because, again, everybody's going to go through something. But how resilient are you to be able to bounce back? Now, in taking care of my parents, I became lawyer, doctor, teacher, preacher. I became everything for them. But guess whose health suffered? And it was mine. It wasn't until the pastor came to the house one day and she said, Suzanne, are you eating? Now, if you all remember, there are these crackers out there. My granddaddy used to call them nabs, the little orange crackers. Well, those were a delicacy for me because, see, if you've ever been a caregiver, you don't really focus on yourself. You're focusing more so on the person that you're taking care of. And it wasn't until I looked in the mirror and I could see my chest bones through here and I could see where my face had severely sunk in. That's where emotional self-care kicked in for me. Now, before we talk about EAP, what I'd like to do is to talk about the most important person in the room, and that's you. We're going to talk about 12 emotional self-care tactics that can help you throughout life. Number one, allow yourself to feel. Now, everybody that's listening to me has tear ducts. And every now and then you have to use them. Sometimes my friends will call me Weeping Wanda because I'll drop a tear on you in a minute. Also, if you need to take that whoosah moment and step away from the computer or step away from whatever it is that's going on, take that moment. Now, if you feel like screaming, you might want to go outside with that one. But what I'm trying to convey is you have to allow yourself to feel. I'm sure you've heard the saying, too much pressure on a pipe will cause it to burst. Those holidays like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, in particular Mother's Day. I was fine the last one, until I looked on Facebook and I saw a lot of people with their mothers. You all, it broke me down to a fraction. I went into the bathroom and I hit what we call the ugly cry. The one where your shoulders are humping up and down, you can't catch your breath, your mouth is open and nothing's coming out. I think you all got my drift. Allow yourself to feel. Number two, pay attention to physical sensations. Our bodies are like well-oiled machines. Everything moves and grooves in sync. But when the body doesn't feel good, what does it say to us? Pain. And what do? Sometimes we'll do absolutely nothing. We'll walk around on a fractured ankle for 3 weeks or so before we even think about going to a doctor. We'll have heart palpitations and we'll say, oh, it's just a little heartburn when you could be on the verge of having a heart attack. Or three, we'll go and get medicine from 5 years ago that we know has truly expired, but we'll try to take that pill. Anything like fatigue, tension, shallow breathing, anything like that, please go and get yourself checked because you all know that COVID, RSV, ABC, and XYZ, I don't know what the last two are, but they're out here. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. Number three, reflect on your feelings. Look, I used to write in a journal like this every night for years, you all, and these books had stacked up. I mean, I could stack them from the floor. I used to write my feelings in them every night. But what I would do is I could look at today and go back 5 years ago and see exactly what I was doing on that day. If you're doing the same thing today that you were doing 5 years ago, it's time for a change. Everybody needs to have goals. Everybody needs to have that thing that you want to ascertain or something that you're striving to do. The other side of me is that I'm studying to become a funeral director. You all, I have been in funeral services for 11 years. I should have had my license a long time ago. But as you heard me mention earlier, life. Life happens. Mother, father, they both transition. I move. So now I'm an intern at a funeral home working on my goals. Everybody needs goals, but also reflect on your feelings by meditation, mindfulness, things like that. Number four, express yourself creatively. Now, I sing in the church choir, but in the shower in the morning, you all, I sing soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, and I bring it all together like the Hallelujah Choir. And you cannot convince me that I'm not one of the backup singers for CC Winans. That's my way of creating or expressing my creativity first thing in the morning because I'm so grateful and thankful. Number five, limit your exposure to negative messages. How many people do you know are negative all the time? You say something as simple as good morning and you feel as though they cut your head off. The analogy that I use is that movie from The Matrix when the man was throwing the dagger and people would be leaning to the side to try not to get hit by it. We have to watch what we allow into our spirits. Always remember, positivity in produces positivity out. Negativity in produces negativity out. I tell people all the time, don't watch the news at night because you see what happens is all that negativity has a tendency to seep into your spirit and your body may be at rest, but your mind is still churning. And if you're like me, I need to get my rest at night. So watch the negative messages. Number six, work on replacing negative messages. I promise you, as surely as I sit here, you all, anything that's negative going on in your life, there's a positive in it somewhere. But sometimes you have to dig deep to find it. Again, when both of my parents passed away a month within each other, I was beside myself. I couldn't find any positivity in that. But also when I sat back and I thought about it, they had been married for almost 60 years. She probably didn't want to live without him. He probably didn't want to live without her. That's my story. I'm sticking with it, and we're going on to number seven. Now, if I was standing in front of you, I would ask you really, really quick. I would say, one, two, three, everybody tell me what your hobby is. And you would be astounded to know how many people don't have hobbies. My husband is a photographer. He likes to take sunrises and sunsets, and he also likes to plant flowers. Me, I'm a gym rat. I go to the gym every morning, you all. I'll be 62 this year. You have to take care of your body. Because you know what? If you don't take care of your body will take care of you, and you only get one. So engage in some type of an activity, preferably a physical activity. Number eight, creating emotional boundaries. How many times are you going to allow that person to talk to you any kind of way? How many times are you going to allow that person to treat you any kind of way? Everybody needs to set emotional boundaries of how much you are willing to accept. But the thing is that you have to stick with it. We also need to understand that no is an answer. You know, I told you I'll be 62, so I have less years ahead of me than I have behind me. And so sometimes I have to say no to certain things because, see, you have to remember you have to be responsible for your body, your mind, and your spirit. And as far as I know, everybody has one head and two arms. But why do we act as though we're an octopus all day long? We're doing everything for everybody else except for whom? What are you doing for yourself? Create those emotional boundaries. Come here, let me tell you something. You know why we go through a lot also in life? is because we allow it. I don't allow people to treat me any kind of way. I definitely don't allow people to talk to me any kind of way. So again, create those emotional boundaries to protect yourself. Number 9, begin a gratitude practice. You all, please be grateful for everything that you have, whether it be people, places, or things. Be grateful for the beauty of life that you have. Now, we're all guilty of asking for things that we don't really need, and if we get them, sometimes we kind of mess them up. So again, just be grateful. Practice gratitude. Number 10, resolve emotional wounds. I'll bet you anybody that's listening to this call, at some point in life, you've been mad at somebody and you've kind of held on to that grudge. If I'm doing a presentation in front of people, I always tell them to repeat this after me. Let it go. You know why? Because see, you're the one that will be walking around. You can't think straight. You can't eat right. Your stomach's all messed up. You can't get your work done. Sometimes you just have to let things go. Now, I know it's easier said than done, but the thing is that also practicing forgiveness is helpful. So again, resolve those emotional wounds from past trauma, guilt, and some of the other things that are going on. You'll feel better if you do it. Number 11, cultivate emotional intelligence. Now, as bubbly as I appear to be, you all, I used to suffer, keyword suffer, with anger management. And somebody would say something to me really nice, and I really didn't know how to respond because you got to remember, I had all of these things that had happened to me in my life. So I wasn't in the best positive mode. But you have to cultivate emotional intelligence. You have to get a rein on your emotions. Everybody on this call has what I call emotional activators or triggers. I have 4. The first one, people that don't say please. If you don't say please and you ask me to do something, it makes me feel as though you're giving me an order and I'm not in the military. Number 2, people that don't say thank you. Everybody wants to be thankful what they've done. Number 3, people that answer me what? That's a tough one for me. And then the last one, dishes in the sink. So again, everybody has those activators or those triggers that kind of set you off just a little bit, but you have to remember, you have to recognize and manage those emotions. And then the last one is ask for help. And that's when we get into the EAP program. Now, the thing about EAP, you all, is that EAP is for short-term, solution-focused types of challenges and concerns. Let me park right here for a second. Please never go to anyone and say, you look like you have issues. You look like you have problems. Because if they do have them, those words are so disheartening to everybody. But again, the EAP program helps you improve your overall well-being for personal as well as professional challenges. So what does EAP address? And I won't read these verbatim for you, but these are only some of the things that we see on our utilization reports that people come to us for: relationships, stress, caregiving, healthy life transitions, resilience from grief and loss. We saw a lot of that during COVID. But again, you can pretty much talk to our clinicians about pretty much anything. But again, these are just some of the things that we see frequently. So some things to know about EAP. EAP is an employer-paid benefit that's provided at no cost to you. Not only does it extend to you as the employee, we try to help everybody in your household. Now let me clarify that. Anybody that stays in your household, as long as they have your address as their permanent address, they qualify for the EAP program. The thing is also is that you don't even have to be on the Sentara Health Plan in order to participate. The city has invested in the employees. The EAP program is separate from your medical insurance and it is confidential. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Things to know about yourself. I want everybody to know it shows emotional maturity when you seek help for some challenges that may be going on. The thing is that whenever we go through things, the first thing we have a tendency to do is to go and talk to our friends and our family. And sometimes they're going through their own things. So the first thing that they may do is they may try to pacify you. Sometimes you need to talk to a clinician, somebody who doesn't know you, doesn't know the situation, and can give you a clinical assessment. I want you to know that you are not weak. Again, it shows emotional maturity that you've recognized that something's not quite right and that you want to get the help that you need. And you are not alone. You all, I work with almost 180 groups. every group that I work with, somebody is going through something. So please know that you're not alone. And then your mental health is just as important as your physical health. You know, we hear about the physical health all the time, but the mental starts the moment that you open up your eyes. So you have to keep your mind healthy also. Counsel and information. You all get up to 5 visits per presenting concern. Let me say that again. 5 visits per presenting concern. The thing that I hear when I'm out is that people say, "Oh, I did my 5 visits for the year." But you can remember that list that I showed you a few minutes ago? It's 5 visits per topic. You'll be seen by a licensed skilled professional, and you can have your sessions in person, telephonic, or virtual. We also have website resources, articles, videos, self-paced trainings, all kinds of good stuff, and we'll talk about that more in a few minutes. Work-life services. Now, this is a benefit that we just got revamped January 1st. The way that this works is that you all have legal, financial, and identity theft. Under the legal component, you can talk to an attorney for 30 minutes for free. Now, what I always tell people is to please write down your questions. Don't get on there with idle chatter because at minute number 31, the fees do start, but you do get a discount. Financial assist. If you want to do something like buy a house, getting your credit straight, buying a car, you have 60 minutes to talk to a consultant about that. And then identity theft is more so if your ID has ever been compromised, you have 30 minutes to talk to a consultant. Now, the really cool part about the work-life piece, the example that I always give is that I have an aunt who's 98 years old. She lives in New Jersey. We wanted to put her in another facility. She's in a nursing home. Because I live in Hampton and I don't know any other facilities in that area, I was able to call the work life number, give them the specific criteria of what it is that I was looking for. They did the research and came back to me. So our work life services program is really robust. Convenience, 24/7 human access. Now, the visits with our clinicians are from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. However, if after those hours you say you got into an anxiety attack, we still want you to call that 1-800 number and you will speak to one of our nurses on our after hours line. There is somebody available for you to talk to. We have strong provider networks statewide. We have convenient counseling times and locations, and we also have benefits coordination. Remember when I said earlier that you get 5 visits per topic? Well, if after that 5th visit and the situation is still going on, you would then be turned over to either a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a different type of therapist. Because, see, then that becomes long term. And then sometimes medications have to be administered. Keep in mind, EAP is for short term, solution focused types of challenges and concerns. So, how do you get in contact with Sentara EAP? You all, it's as simple as calling 1-800-899-8174. Our ops team will take the call. They will set you up with your first appointment, and then you schedule the remaining appointments based on your schedule. Again, you can do it virtually, telephonic, or face-to-face. We also have our website, www.sentaraeap.com. If you go out there, you can find webinars, seminars, all kinds of good information, and it's going to ask you for a username. Your username is Virginia Beach. So, our EAP has a track record of being effective. Again, you've heard me say how many groups that I work with. We have utilization reports that have high-level information, and I love it when I see that people use the EAP program. Again, it's provided at no cost to you, it's confidential, and it's easy to use. But let's back up the confidentiality for a second. A lot of people will say, Ms. Fullwood, I am not going to talk to anybody at EAP because you all are going to spread my business all over Virginia Beach. Well, my mother used to say, if you don't want your business told, don't tell it. But I guarantee you, us at Sentara EAP, that's the least of your concerns. We're governed by state and federal laws. We cannot share your information. However, information can be shared under 3 primary conditions. 1, if you are a threat to yourself or to someone else. 2, if you give us written permission that we can share the information. Or 3, if we get a court subpoena, of course you know that we would have to share. But outside of that, you all, no one would know that you called Sentara EAP. So just to recap, 5 things to know, hope for resource for you and everyone in your household. You get up to 5 sessions per topic, free and convenient. Call the 1-800 number. We talked about confidentiality and the 3 reasons why confidentiality can be breached. And again, the website, sentaraeap.com, and the username is going to be Virginia Beach. Again, a recap of our work-life services. You get the legal, financial, identity thefts, and then the work-life consultant. What you would do from the website, you're going to see a work-life tab. You're going to click on that, and it's going to take you to, it's going to have you to access and log in to create your own unique username, and the company code is Sentara 53. Call to care. Now, this is something that's just been reintroduced. I think it was back in January. The thing is that sometimes you may have anxiety, burnout, compassion, fatigue, or stress. Keep in mind that our sessions with our clinicians are 50 minutes. The call to care is more so coaching instead of counseling. When you talk about coaching, what you'll be doing with the person that answers the phone, our life coach, is that you're going to focus on the goals. She's going to help you to show you how to empower yourself, concentrate on your future, some short-term touch points. That's the coaching part. That's the call to care. And then the counseling focuses on the mental health, answers to why is this happening? Why am I acting like this? Focuses on healing, and it dives into the past, and this one is a 50-minute session. So there's a difference between the coaching and the counseling, and I'll go back. For you to access that, all you need to do is to scan that QR code. It's going to take you to a form. You complete the form, and then they will get in contact with you within 24 hours. Again, Sentara EAP, 1-800-899-8174. The website, sentaraeap.com, username Virginia Beach. Now, that ends my presentation, you all. Here comes my plea. I am asking you all, please be kind to people. Please be nice to people. It doesn't hurt you to do that. The thing is that you never know when somebody's emotions could be on what I call emotional life support. And sometimes all it takes is one negative thing from you for them to hurt themselves, or they could potentially hurt you. There are 3 situations that I talk about at every presentation that I do. The first one was the situation at UVA. The young man's father, the young man who shot the football players, the young man's father got on television and said, "My son is acting erratic. There's some things going on. Not sure what's going on." But did anybody say anything? Did anybody try to get him the help that he needed? The second one was the situation at the Chesapeake Walmart. In that gentleman's manifesto, he said that people were laughing at him. Please, don't laugh at people. Everything that may be funny to you could be detrimental to somebody else. And also, if you don't have anything nice to say to somebody or about somebody, please keep it to yourself, because you got to remember our words are powerful. It's not like a piece of paper that I could show you and then take it back because I don't want you to see it out, see what I had written. The thing is that a word, sometimes they stick and sometimes they hurt people. And then the third situation is the situation with Twitch, the gentleman that was from Ellen. You know, we saw him celebrating his 9-year anniversary. We saw him dancing the night before. And then the next day, of course, you all know what happened. If you all see somebody going through something, I am not asking you to be a licensed clinical social worker. I'm not asking you to try to fix them. All I want you to do is to help me to get the information about EAP out to those that may be in need. And then last but not least, you all, my final words. It is okay not to be okay, but allow us at Sentara EAP to help you by calling 1-800-899-8174. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. That was an excellent introduction into Sentara EAP. We appreciate you sharing from your own experience and then walking us through the benefits of reaching out to EAP. You mentioned this earlier, but I do want to reiterate that EAP counseling is available for all active employees and members of their household. You do not have to be on the city or school health plan through Sentara in order to access these great services. Please note that life coaching is not available for household members. And as a reminder, there's a lot of great information on the EAP and Work Life Services website websites listed here on the slide, along with a phone number to call if you have any questions regarding any of these services, anything we talked about today, or you might need assistance with calling and scheduling a counseling appointment. Thank you again, Suzanne.
Thank you.